Morning, Pal. First one is, what personal transformation did you experience through these sessions?
So over the first 5 sessions, we learnt a lot about the Te Ao Māori and the worldview, and that was really empowering for me. I think in the past I've learned about tikanga and te reo, and but understanding the Te Ao Māori worldview gives you that sort of umbrella understanding of how things work in the Māori world. And so if we're in a position where perhaps we are less sure of the tikanga or less sure of the te reo, having an understanding of that worldview can help us feel more comfortable and more safe in that space. Relational engagement is about good manners, and I remember learning this, you saying, but it comes down to good manners. And so it's really about developing relationships early on. Even before we have an idea of what it is we want to work on together, it's just about developing relationships and getting to know one another so that we have friends. And then when it comes down to working together, we're really comfortable with one another and we've already developed some trust together. And I think what might be slightly different that I've learned since the first 5 sessions is, or maybe not learned, but maybe now I focus on more because I've been reminded of this, but also realize how important it is just continuing those relationships in between research projects consistently over time. We've worked with people who would like to work with people. We just hear about good people and we just develop relationships, and there's no agenda for it. And that's just a continued part of life as it would be a friendship. So I think that's sort of what I took away from that I'm trying to action a bit more. My most anxious moment was probably right at the beginning because we hadn't gotten to know each other as well by that point, and I ended up in a session as a solo all by myself, and I had to. We went through a series of activities learning about the marae. And the different parts of the marae, and I had you and your lovely wife, and just me, and I had to put all the things in the right place, and it felt like a test, and I felt a little bit anxious about that. But in terms of the way that you approached that, you made it really accessible, and so that did make it a lot easier. The mop-up sessions were critical because there are some things that we can't change, like we might have to teach on the day, or we might be sick or have a sick child. And as much as our best intentions, we really want to be there and we're really committed to those sessions, sometimes things in life just happen. And so having the mop-up sessions, I think it helps people to commit to the full series. Yeah. I think it really resonated with me as a person too, because I think we've talked about how I feel like I'm a really values-driven person, and that I think what we learnt through these sessions is the Māori world is very values-driven too, and so that I really connected with that. It made me feel more comfortable as a researcher and more able to do some of the work that I want to do around equity and feel more comfortable about how to go about that. And yeah, so I think that makes me a better researcher. I think the one of the things that stood out for me was the tapu anoa revelation, because for me that wasn't something I had engaged with before or had experience with before, and it really helped me understand some of the tikanga. So that was quite a turning point for me. But I think overall it really does sum together. Yeah. It's been really valuable for me as a researcher, and I've been around for 20 years or so, so I'm not a new off the block, but I've just found it um, really helpful in terms of thinking about engagement and relationships, and that's where everything starts. And how do we go about that? And for many of us, I think here in the faculty, those things feel challenging and difficult, and I guess maybe we feel a bit anxious about how we go about that. So I think the sessions that we learn, but also the connections that we make through the marae, through you, through one another, I think are really important. And actually, we did talk a bit about, as a research group, how the sessions brought us together and we got to know one another better. So some of us have been working together for years, but we actually learned new things about one another. So that's also kind of a little lucky cherry on top. I think coming into the marae, I felt a little anxious. I've been on marae before. I've stayed overnight on a marae a couple of times, but I still felt a bit anxious. I think about wanting to do the right thing. um, but what was really amazing about the experience was that really very quickly we were made to feel really comfortable on the marae, especially once we'd been welcomed on and told that we're now friends of the marae essentially. Of That made me feel really comfortable. And what we learnt on the marae was very, I guess you could say it wasn't as directly related to research. Um, it was such a bonding session, and what it created in terms of feeling safe in that space was really wonderful. It was fun too. Like, we had a lot of laughs. I mean, I am not a confident singer, but it just made it space where we all had a lot of fun and felt confident. I liked the action song, and it sounded really beautiful too. Like, yeah. So I think over the day, yeah, we all walked away feeling really empowered and really like we had fun, and the learning just came along with that. This is critical to who we are as people that live in Aotearoa New Zealand, and we're privileged to live here, that we understand and are able to confidently work alongside Indigenous population. We're privileged to be here, and so this is not an optional part of life. It's a critical part of life, and particularly in the public health space, you can almost think about it like prevention, right? So we are in the space because we value public health and what we do, and to be able to do that well, taking part in engaging in these types of opportunities. The more that we invest in this area, actually, we'll see people start to flourish, and we'll see more grants coming in that are actually able to address equity, and that's what we're here for. Having you, Brevis, and your partner for some of it, and the way that you were just so open and friendly and made it such a safe space right from the beginning. You come in with this big smile on your face, you bring energy to the room. That is just amazing. I think it takes us all out of, we're stuck in front of our computers or our students and this really serious kind of space. It takes us out of that and gives us this experience that's enjoyable to go to, and that's a big part of, because it's you.